And joining us now to talk more about deal activity in the pharmaceutical industry is Damian Conover. He's Director of Pharma Research at Morningstar. Mr. Conover, welcome. Good to have you with us. Are you expecting a big blockbuster deal sometime later this year? And if so, what might it be?
Yeah, so when we think about the deal flow that we've seen recently, I think we're going to continue to see it, maybe not at the pace that we've seen just over this recent quarter, but I think it's very likely that companies will be looking to divest units that traditionally they haven't focused on very much. So animal health, consumer health, things we saw Novartis do today, I think a company like Merck will probably do tomorrow and into the latter part of this year.
What's changed? Why are they doing this, Damian?
I think there's two things. First off, the innovation has slowed at big pharmaceutical firms, so they're not bringing out enough new products to really drive the growth rate of the underlying business, which has caused the executives to look at different areas where they can create value. So that's number one. Number two, there's been a lot of success from other firms, most notably Pfizer, in its split off of Zoetis and its sale of its nutritional business, both of which got very strong valuations and probably opening the door for other pharmaceutical firms to follow in that footprints of Pfizer.
So, Damian, if I read between the lines of your answer to my first question, you think more of the transactions will be portfolio reshaping and pruning and selling off units rather than the kind of mega deal that would occur if Pfizer merges with company, you name it?
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to see more likely happen over the remainder part of this year. Valuations in the pharmaceutical group have increased. We're looking at an average PE of about 17. That's up from about 14 the last time we saw a major round of massive consolidation of Schering-Plough and Wyeth. So it's harder to create value when things are a little bit more expensive. However, the cost cutting that we saw in that last round could be something that Pfizer deploys with an AstraZeneca deal.
And it seems like a lot of these deals are cross-border. They're not just happening here in the U.S., they're happening with international players as well. So I want to know if you see that trend continuing, and then also how can investors take advantage of all of this buying and merging?
Yeah, I think there's two reasons why a lot of U.S. firms are interested in international firms. The tax rate causes a lot of U.S. firms to keep cash offshore, and instead of repatriating that cash and paying a high tax rate, they'll usually use that cash to make some acquisitions overseas. Secondly, there have been a lot of tax strategies where if you make acquisitions overseas, you can shift some of your IP around and bring down your overall tax rate.
Do we need
Do
we need to, talking about that so-called tax inversion, do you think that we need to refashion the tax code so that gaming the tax system isn't driving business decisions?
I think we definitely need to, and it's going to be a hard uphill battle because you got to get a lot of the nations of the world to agree on this. But what we're seeing here is a lot of strategic decisions being done just because of taxes. And that's really at some point going to be out of line of fundamental decision making and cause big problems. So I think tax reform is needed.
All right, Damian, thank you very much. Damian Conover with Morningstar.